guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming my BH Cosmetics files for Chapter 11 Bankruptcy Chatty Get Ready With Me video. So if you guys are interested in hearing some of my thoughts, then just keep watching. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is KARENHARRIS. I like to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on my channel. Usually I'm focusing on new makeup releases, but I've been trying to sprinkle in more chatty videos where we're talking about current topics in the makeup industry. So if you like new makeup, if you like talking about things that are happening in the makeup and beauty YouTube world, then this might be the place for you. Highly recommend subscribing so you can check out some of my content. And without further blabbering, let's get into it. So BH Cosmetics filed for bankruptcy sometime in January, and I feel like the news stayed pretty underground until it just like broke and everyone did like BH Cosmetics bankruptcy videos and all of the things, and I still wanted to talk about it. And of course, in true KARENHARRIS makeup fashion, all these other things came up, and so I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. Well, today we were talking in our group chat, and my friend Angie actually mentioned that she read an article about the fact that BH Cosmetics has been acquired by Revolution Makeup, which I believe that's what they're called, but they have a bunch of other brands underneath them. Anyway, she mentioned that. She mentioned she was going to do a video talking about it, and so I will link her video either in the cards or maybe in the description box. You guys probably already know who she is. If you haven't already subscribed to her channel, highly recommend doing so. So anyway, I was already planning on doing a BH video, and I had picked up this palette, which is the Mystic Zodiac Moon palette. There's also a Sun palette, but the shades in this palette were more my vibe. So I did grab this. I was planning on doing a BH video and using a BH palette. So I figured now that we have even more developments, why not combine everything and do one video? So I kind of want to swatch this just to see, because I haven't swatched this palette. But this one did not launch in the US. It launched, I believe, on BH Cosmetics' German website. And I kept thinking, like, is it going to come to the US site? What's happening? Like, last year they did all these new launches. We're almost at March now, and I haven't seen BH do anything new. So I don't know if the bankruptcy is only affecting the US side of their operation, but I'm very, very curious to see what is to come. So in a lot of the articles that I read, it looks like they were kind of hoping that some of their collaborations with like celebrities was really going to help the brand out and really like get them to come out of this like financial rut they were in. So from what I understand, when it comes to Chapter 11 bankruptcy, it means like you're basically not able to like pay off your debts and stuff like that. So you're not bankrupt in the sense where the company is going to close down, but basically they're trying to get rid of their debt. So I will say, just a quick pause on what I was saying. I was really banking on this mint shade being really cool, but it's actually kind of a blah shade. This whole palette, first impressions based off of like swatching just half of it, is not the good I'm used to when it comes to BH. Like, it's swatching very mediocre, and usually I feel like BH really blows me away with the swatches and the quality of their eyeshadow. So it'll be interesting to see how I feel about this palette. Anyway, so yeah, they filed for bankruptcy. Everybody's just like, are they gonna shut down? Is somebody gonna, you know, take over? What's gonna happen? I don't know. I feel like they did a lot of collabs, and I'm sure it cost them a lot of money, but I also feel like they weren't really collabing with people that were helping with their brand or were like really aligned with their brand. I think that there is a lot of power in collabing with the right people that like kind of go with your brand. And I just feel like Iggy Azalea, she hasn't really had a hit in a long time. And Doja Cat is super popular, so I can't even imagine what it costs for them to collab with Doja Cat. But, I mean, when you think of BH Cosmetics, do you think of Doja Cat? Not really. And I don't think that always matters, but I feel like in the climate that we're in right now with so much of the beauty industry being so saturated, I feel like people want that connection. So I just feel like of all the people I think of when I think of BH Cosmetics, I feel like Doja Cat was kind of a stretch. I think that they would have benefited a lot more by doing maybe like another collaboration with Carly Bible or something like that, you know, because I feel like that palette was like iconic for BH. And so I feel like they haven't had a hit like that in quite some time, and I really liked where they were going with their breakfast series, and I really liked some of their collections from 2019, 2020, 2021 were so good, like the sweet shops, the breakfast ones, the travel ones, like they were really like making a comeback. And then I don't know, I mean, I would love to get a look at their finances, and I would love to hear from their marketing team, like if any of you know somebody that's working for BH, or if you work for BH, man, I would love to have a talk with somebody that works there and like just do like even an interview on my channel, because I personally find that stuff super fascinating, like the behind the scenes. Anyway, let me give you just the shade names really quick. So like I said, this is the Mystic Zodiac. This is the Moon palette. So we have Lunar, we have Phase, Orbit, Crescent, Celestial. Then we have Full Moon, which is like a pinky metallic. We've got Space, Waning, Waxing, Astro, Bright, which is that sad little mint shade I swatched right here. Then we have Night, Shadow, Galaxy, Voyage. Then we have Gravity on this hand. So with the last two rows we've got on this arm. So we have Gravity, Collision, Rising, Atmosphere. High Tide is that beautiful dark blue. Then we have Shooting Star, Eclipse, Crater, Twilight, and Dark Side. The black looks pretty promising. Everything on this arm is a little bit lighter than what I would have liked, but we'll see if we can make it work. Also, if you guys hear some scrunching, that's Freya. She's playing with a scrunchy toy. It's like a sensory thing, so obviously I'm not going to stop her from playing while she's putting up with me while I film this video. So I have my foundation on and my brows on, so I'm going to do my makeup in this video, and let's start off with the eyes first, and then let me pull up the article where they talk about Makeup Revolution buying BH Cosmetics. So basically this like just happened as I'm filming this. It says that Revolution Beauty Group has acquired certain intellectual property assets and inventory of United States cosmetics brand BH Cosmetics Holdings. It announced on Friday for $3.9 million. That's 2.91 million pounds. I feel like 3.9 is like not that much money. Does anybody else feel that way? I literally had like friends that were looking at like $1 million house the other day, and I feel like 3.9 million for a beauty brand or some of the beauty brand's assets is not that much, considering like BH was like really getting some traction, so they must be like, give me the money, give me the money now. So this is the shade Space, by the way. It's like a really pretty like mauvey pink color, and I'm just putting that in my crease. I think I'm gonna do kind of a neutral look because I just did a blue eye look with the Bloom palette from Clarity. If you want to see that video, it's live on my channel already. And so I think I'm feeling like something a little neutral today. So Revolution feels like this is a highly complementary acquisition, which I do agree, just because kind of the same price point. Like it's almost like they bought a competitor so that they can just like absorb the competition and both work on the same team, if that makes any sense. So it says that Revolution's strategy is to offer consumers quality beauty products at affordable prices, which is what BH does as well. Launched in Los Angeles in 2009, Badass with Heart Cosmetics was described as a brand with a strong point of view. Now, I didn't know that BH stood for Badass with Heart, but Heather said that that was something they did very recently. I was shocked. Like, I'd never known that BH stood for something, so definitely let me know in the comments if you were surprised like I was, because I feel like I've been following BH for quite some time, and I had no idea that's what BH stood for. Was described as a brand with a strong point of view, producing vegan and cruelty-free cosmetics for loyal Generation Z consumers. With more than 6.5 million social media followers, BH sells through its own direct-to-consumer channel, as well as a number of focused retailers across the US and Germany, which is Ulta, I would say, is the big one that I'm thinking of. The brand, which is well known for its makeup brushes, would strengthen categories within the group's current portfolio, the Revolution board said. That's funny that they're known for their makeup brushes. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, BH has a lot of brushes and some of them are actually decent quality, but a lot of their makeup brushes, I feel like are, you know, their sets are like one good brush for every 5 brushes, which is kind of annoying. I'm going into the shade Astro now, which is like a burgundy shade, and I'm just going to put that on the outer corner. So then it says, in 2019, BH delivered net revenue of $55.8 million and was only distributed across online and retail channels in US and Germany. See, I think that's where they were at their peak, because that's around the time that they did like the breakfast, like the blueberry muffin palette and stuff like that, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. COVID-19 significantly impacted the businesses, with revenue decreasing to $33.7 million in 2020, generating a loss of $22.5 million. Okay, so if they bought something for $3.9 million, I feel like that means that Revolution only bought like a little bit. Like, it almost sounds like they gave them a little loan, because revenue dropping to $33.7 million, like, that's still a significant amount. Like, that's not even a quarter of what Revolution gave them. So this is interesting. I feel like I read like a little bit of this article, but you guys are getting my first reactions as well while I'm doing my makeup. So anyway, generating a loss of $22.5 million caused by high operating costs. Revolution said it would consolidate BH Cosmetics into its wider operations over the course of 2022, leveraging synergies across existing product development, supply, and distribution. I think that is going to be huge for BH, because Revolution does have a large distribution model. I mean, think of all the places you can buy Makeup Revolution now. They're even at Target. So that could be huge for a brand like BH to be available across the US, like even more widely, because not everybody will take time out of their day to go to an Ulta store, but most people are going to Target. I mean, because Target is just more than makeup. Like, you can get your groceries there, especially if you're not from the US. Like, maybe you don't know this, but Target is like most people's happy place grocery store that also has like a really cute like clothes, really cute home decor. Like, you can find a lot of really nice things at Target. So in case you're wondering what Target's like. Anyway, so I will say that that could be huge for them to expand their distribution networks. For BH, it said it would re-energize the BH brand with new products and use both Revolution Beauty and BH's relationship in the US and the UK and internationally. Given that sales attributed to the acquisition during the first half of the financial year ending 28 February 2023 were expected to be minimal, as Revolution onboarded new BH suppliers, built stock levels, and integrated BH into its operations. BH Cosmetics filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in the US on January 14. Following US court approval on 18 February and after the satisfaction of customary closing conditions, Revolution Beauty subsidiary RBI Acquisition Holdings became the successful purchaser of the BH brand, its social media accounts, customer databases, and certain inventory. That's wild to me. Like, is there something, did I read this number wrong? Because they were making $55.8 million in 2019, and then Makeup Revolution got to buy them for like $4 million. I mean, listen, I'm not a finance expert by any means. I'm not claiming to be a finance expert. I'm not claiming to know anything about business acquisition, but that seems like really cheap. Like, is anybody else like in finance watching this video? Can you comment? Like, I don't know. That seems like they got a steal of a deal there, in my humble opinion. BH Cosmetics is an iconic US-born brand with a loyal fan base across digital and social media platforms and loved by celebs and makeup artists everywhere. That might be a stretch, but okay, whatever. They had to say some things to pump themselves up because they got like stolen from this acquisition, in my humble opinion, said Chief Executive Officer Adam Minto. As a cruelty-free vegan brand, BH aligns with our ethos. Its strong offering in color, cosmetics, and brushes perfectly complements our business. Bringing BH Cosmetics into the group will help us accelerate our growth trajectory in the US and leverage our existing global ecosystem of distribution. I totally agree, because I think Makeup Revolution is trying to get into the US market, and it's getting there, but I don't think they're as popular as BH is, in my humble opinion. Minto said that, like Revolution, BH had a strong heritage as a challenger brand and had disrupted their traditional beauty market in the US. I do agree with that. We remain focused on building a British global beauty brand, capturing the vast market opportunity in mass beauty, and continuing to win customers around the world. We're confident the acquisition will deliver sustainable value for all our stakeholders over the long term. Okay, well, that's interesting. I'm very, 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 very interested to see how this all pans out for both brands. I think it's a good match, honestly. When I try to think of who else could have bought BH, I mean, there's a lot of like American-based big like beauty conglomerates, but I don't know that the brands would like marry well together. If you think of like buying a brand as like an arranged marriage, or just like, you know, they really have to complement each other. You can't just have like Louis Vuitton isn't gonna go buy Forever 21, you know, it has to like make some sort of sense, unless Louis Vuitton is trying to get into the fast fashion market, which I highly doubt. Okay, so we'll see what ends up happening. I did just tap on the shade Shadow on my lids just to finish up this look. I will go ahead and do the rest of my makeup off camera, and I will be right back to finish up our talk about BH being acquired by Makeup Revolution and to show you guys the finished makeup look. Okay, so here is the finished look. I didn't do my hair. This is like 2-day-old Dyson Airwrap curls. I did my hair for my clarity video, which went live this morning. If you haven't seen it, I'm planning on filming, editing, and uploading this BH video today. So if you haven't seen my Clarity Bloom video, highly recommend checking that out. But anyways, this is the finished look. Let me tell you really quick what else is on my face. So I am retrying the Easy Drops from Fenty Beauty. I actually have a full face of Fenty Beauty going live on Sunday because Fenty Beauty is launching at Ulta on Sunday. So I thought it would be fun to go over some of my favorite products from Fenty Beauty with you guys. This one, I'm still trying to make up my mind about this foundation. I thought this looked beautiful on camera. It definitely looked very glowy. It is so cold right now in Fargo that every foundation feels like a matte foundation on my skin right now. I did mix a little bit of the Auric Glow stuff on my face too, just to kind of help hydrate my face, but it still doesn't feel hydrated enough, if you can believe me on that one. And then for highlighter, I'm wearing the Bridgerton highlighter in the lighter shade. I always forget what that one's called. And then my lip combo, I just went with the same one I used in my Clarity video because I thought this was such a pretty combo. So we have Amorosa, and this is the shade Divine from Lunar Beauty, which is so gorgeous. I'm wearing the tan bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury and the shade She's Blushing from Patrick Ta. And yeah, I think that's everything that's on my face. Now let's talk really quick about this eyeshadow palette. I feel like I've been struck with a really unlucky streak when it comes to eyeshadow palettes. I feel like I was going through life, living my best. I was like, oh my gosh, all the eyeshadow palettes I try are amazing. This makes ranking videos so hard because every palette I try is so good. And when I do my monthly ranking videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, all of these palettes I love so much. Like, why does it have to be so hard? And now I've hit like this streak where I feel like I've been trying so many duds lately. I had a lot of hope for this palette because I thought the color story was really pretty. But oh my gosh, this is like that BH formula from like 2016, 2017 when nobody was buying their stuff. I don't know where they dug this formula out of, but this is not the good BH formula in my humble opinion. You can definitely make this work. I mean, I did a really simple look with it today, but oh my goodness, I could tell when I was watching it, it was going to be disappointing, but this was like another level. Like, I could do this exact same look with other BH palettes and make it look so pigmented and so like bam and so effortless. These metallics are super crumbly and just not sparkly like we're used to. So yeah, this was definitely a fail for me. I feel like this palette should have been like BH's like last big hurrah, and instead they're kind of making me think like, okay, maybe it's okay that they won't be making eyeshadows anymore under the BH umbrella, because oh my god, this palette is so bad. I know there's a sun palette. I didn't buy that one because it was a lot of warm neutral shades, but if you bought any of these palettes, let me know if you had a similar experience or if I just got a dud or whatnot. Like, I would love to hear you guys' opinion. Now, I did have some notes that I made on my phone when we originally heard about BH Cosmetics going bankrupt, so I wrote down like some bullet points, and the first thing I wrote down is, I mean, are we really surprised that brands are struggling? And I think that it's an overarching theme. I feel like we've heard a lot of other brands shutting down, like Becca Cosmetics, and the brand that made those single shadows, what do they call, like color something. I found my singles from them the other day. They made like the $1 shadows. I'm totally blanking, but you guys know who I'm talking about. There's a lot of brands that were just flying under the radar, that were surviving, I guess, but clearly not doing well, that have been shutting down. I just think it's so interesting where the beauty industry is right now, because there's so many things happening. There's the panini, which is obviously affecting businesses in general. I feel like beauty is affected a little bit less because you don't have to go into a store to buy it. You don't have to be in a crowd to participate in beauty YouTubers like restaurants and, you know, things like that. You have to physically be in restaurants. And of course, all things are adapting. There's like Ulta's offering curbside, and like Sephora's offering curbside. I was talking to my friends the other day. I'm like, I can't believe that in 2022, I'm able to sit in my car and somebody's bringing me eyeshadow to my car. Like, honestly, that might be one of the best things that happened, especially when you have a small child and you live in a very cold place. It's so nice for me not to have to get Frey out of the car just to go into Ulta if I want to like film a video or something, or want to pick something up. So that's a blessing. And you just see brands adapting. But of course, somebody's going to lose the race, because not everyone can, you know, survive sometimes with this stuff. And, you know, there's so much criticism from consumers of like brands doing too much. But then if you don't do enough, if you don't keep innovating, if you don't keep coming out with new products, then you get fallen by the wayside because customers forget about you. You're also competing on price. And I feel like ColourPop, with their like weekly launches, you know, they are able to really keep the attention on them, whereas a lot of brands that are competing in price don't make their makeup in their own lab, so they're depending on suppliers. And, you know, there's so much stuff happening with logistics and so many things being stuck in different parts of the world. So there's a lot going on. And so, yeah, I I feel like I was surprised that BH was, you know, filing for bankruptcy, but in a sense, I'm also surprised that more brands haven't closed down, because it's just such a tough world to be doing business in right now. So yeah, I had written that down. My second bullet point was, it's a perfect example of what society is like currently, which I already feel like I talked about. So my third bullet point was people living kind of above their means and not knowing what's going on behind closed doors. And I feel like that's also a very relevant thing to how society is sometimes. You know how people say like keeping up with the Joneses, and like you don't know what's going on in people's lives behind closed doors. And I think it's the same with brands. They put up this big front, they look like they're thriving, they look like they're doing really well and they're making profits, and here, come to find out, their profits dropped in a year from 55 million to 30 million. That's a very significant amount. So it's very interesting how you don't really see that stuff come to the forefront unless there's like a bankruptcy. And I really never research makeup brands behind the scenes unless it's you know, something like this is happening. I thought it was interesting how you don't know what's going on with a person. You don't know what's going on with brands sometimes behind closed doors. My fourth bullet point was, I don't know how they survived before they upped their formula. And you would have to be following BH Cosmetics for quite some time to know this, but I still remember the days when BH Cosmetics was kind of like a Morphe, you know? They had these like big 30, 40 pan eyeshadow palettes. They were very affordable. They had lots of brush sets, nothing with like custom packaging or anything like that. Like nothing about them really stood out. I'll try to insert some pictures so you guys know what I'm talking about. The makeup looked very inexpensive, so they really had to step it up in the 2019, 2020 era because companies were crawling out of the woodwork, and there's indie brands competing, there's mainstream brands like Too Faced and Urban Decay that's doing all this like cool edgy packaging. So I really don't know how BH Cosmetics even survived to the point of 2017, 2018, where they really started refining their formula, because their formula change happening and the fact that more people were talking about them on YouTube, I feel like that's what really propelled them to those $55 million profits in 2019. I still remember when they did the Carly Bible palette, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, why did she collab with BH Cosmetics? Like, their formula is horrible. What a like downgrade for Carly Bible. I mean, I know a lot of people really like the Carly Bible palette. I will say I tried it, and personally those shadows remind me a lot of the shadows in this palette. I know the highlighters were beautiful, but the eyeshadow formula in that palette was garbage, and that's just my opinion. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine. I feel like that's the BH that I know before they became cool, was that like dusty, kind of cheapy makeup brand. My fifth point I wrote was the celebrity collabs they did couldn't save them, which I talked about, I think, in the intro kind of portion. And then I said they did collab with some influencers. There was the Carly collab from years ago, and then they did that BFF collection. I've been watching beauty YouTube for a long time, but I honestly did not know the two influencers they did their collaboration, that BFF collection, with. I think maybe they could have benefited more from doing some more collaborations, maybe with influencers. And I think that's like even something important for brands to take notes, is what influencers are bringing in the sales. And I think that's like a huge thing with affiliates and affiliate marketing. It really allows brands to get that information. It's also a great way for them to be able to justify spending and you know, advertising on certain influencers. Also keeping in mind the different types of social media, and having a very diverse PR list is huge. Like, you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. So you shouldn't just send all your PR to just TikTokers, just to Instagrammers, just to YouTubers. I think that there's so many different consumers spread out through all those platforms. So you need to make sure that you're kind of sending PR to every category of influencer out there, so that your product is being seen by their audiences. I think we can all agree with is that BH, I mean, I don't even really know who's on their PR list. I feel like Trend Mood was the one that I saw get a lot of their collections. But yeah, I think that, you know, the price point they're at, they could probably afford to send out a little bit of PR. I mean, we're not dealing with an indie company here, so I just feel like they didn't strike when the iron was hot, and now the whole thing is just old news, and people that want to feature them will feature them, but nobody's really going out of their way looking for BH these days. So it's very interesting. And also I feel like their shipping was hella slow. So even if you were a YouTuber that was like trying to buy something to review, you had to pay for expedited shipping, which to me got a little old, because as much as I would get views on my BH videos, sometimes it just wouldn't be worth paying the expedited shipping for me. Oh, I wrote down in my notes Coastal Scents. That's the brand that sold the $1 single shadows that closed down recently. Anyway, I was going on a bit of a tangent there, so I'm going to reel it back because I'm just sharing a little bit of like my personal stories of BH. Like, I really liked the brand a whole lot, especially like in their heyday of like 2020, 2021. I feel like the formula was truly outstanding, and all I can hope is that Revolution maybe tries to incorporate their eyeshadow formula in their products, because there has never been a Revolution eyeshadow palette that I really liked. Actually, that's a lie, because the avocado, the green palette, was pretty good. That had a decent formula. It was a very nice metallics and things like that, but I honestly don't even buy Makeup Revolution anymore just because it's like too overwhelming to keep up with. It definitely has a great price point, and they have a lot of innovative products and a lot of little brands underneath them. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what they do with BH. Like, I personally didn't understand from the article if they're going to keep the BH like name, or if they're just going to absorb BH into their brand and just kind of have all of the assets from the brand. Definitely, if you know more about this stuff than me, feel free to comment. Like I said, I'm not a freaking expert in mergers and acquisitions. I just wanted to film this video anyway, like when the bankruptcy news came. So the fact that they're now being acquired by Revolution, I mean, I knew somebody was going to buy them. So I guess in hindsight, I was kind of waiting for more news. And that is the news. That is the big news now, is that they've been bought by Revolution, which is not one of my favorite brands, but I remain hopefully optimistic, because BH Cosmetics was not a lot of people's favorite brand, and then they developed, and I think it's like the perfect Cinderella story, right? Like, you start off and then you like turn into this beautiful princess. So we'll see what will become of BH. I am very, very hopeful. I think I need to do a BH Cosmetics ranking video before they shut it all down. I mean, do you guys think they'll shut it all down? Are you planning on hitting up some BH sales? Because I know their stuff was like always on sale anyway. Like, BH was one of those brands I would always think like, don't ever buy full price because they have a sale around the corner. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Would you like to see a BH ranking video before they shut it all down? So that if you guys are planning on picking some stuff up, you can go ahead and do that. I will definitely say, if this one comes to the US, don't waste your money, because it's awful. It is awful. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave me your thoughts down in the comments, and I will see you in a new video on Sunday for sure. Bye, guys.